Anthony, please tell us about the National Laboratory Services role in the Environment Agency.
The role of the NLS within the Environment Agency is to analyse samples taken as part of directive work, EEC directives for example, and also we analyse samples as part of investigations from pollution incidents.
You mentioned you're about to embark on a research project to characterise and trend the environmental profile of a river basin using GCMS and LCMS. Let me show you how we can configure your software to handle this job. First, we need to configure a master database to store spectra, structures and metadata about the sample. If you wish, you can set a password. Now my first task is to create some fields describing the sample points or sites, and I'm going to make a data entry form. I give the form a name and now I can add my new fields, and we'll have sample point, site code, date collected, season and comments. Highlight the new fields and put them into the form. Site code will configure as a drop-down. So I'll add two sites, site 1 and site 2. We'll configure the date collected as a date field and make it default for today. On seasons, we'll have radio buttons. And we'll add the 4 seasons as new values. For the comments field, we'll have a multi-line text box so that you can enter a lot of descriptive detail about the sample. So, now when we can add data, we can also attach biographical data about the sample and sample point as well. Now our master database is all set up, we can go back to our analytical data. Let's say we have just finished a batch of GCMS samples using IXCR. The result data will be waiting review in the review database with all the components, their pure component spectra, and where possible the structure, as well as the total ion chromatogram. If I'm happy with the results of the analysis, I can then upload the results to the master database. Now I'll switch to the master database and add the biographical data for the sample point. So, details about the sample are now stored against the analytical data within the database.
Can you add images to the record?
Yes, you can add any type of file by defining a link. If you're using Oracle, you can actually embed the file within the record. To display the image, all you have to do is double-click the icon. One advantage of having structures in the database is the ability to do predicted property predictions. Now you don't have this predictive software as part of your supply yet, but we can predict a wide range of different endpoints. Here are some phys-chem predictions. ACD Labs also has toxicity predictions, such as LC50 and LD50. So it could be interesting to set up an automatic alert when a large amount of a compound is found in a sample with predicted high aquatic or acute toxicity.
How do you search the database?
You can search the database using a wide range of different queries, including structure searching, substructure, formula weight, peaks, both for mass spec and GC, as well as any field that is stored within the database. You can apply Boolean logic to find the correct record. In this example, we have found one hit.
How can I compare samples by their chemical profile?
Let me choose 2 chromatograms in the database for 2 similar sample points. A simple way is just to overlay the chromatograms and see if there are any obvious outlying peaks. A more sophisticated alternative is to export the data out to a data visualization package or statistical package, where you can group similar samples together, spot trends, or compare a complex matrix of one sample versus another, and visualize the difference between the two.
What about LCMS?
Well, although I've been talking about GCMS, you have all the required modules for processing and databasing LCMS as well. For your 1000 targeted compounds, you'll be using IntelliTarget. This algorithm uses mass, retention time, and isotope patterns to reduce false positives. For the non-targeted compounds, you can use IntelliExtract, which will generically deconvolute the chromatogram, showing the presence of the molecular ions. With a bit of scripting via our API, you can automate the databasing of the MS1 positive and negative as a method to fingerprint the unknowns.
Thank you.
By storing your analytical data in ACD's SpecDB database, you'll be able to retrieve the historical chemical profile at any sample point. It will become easy to compare and visualize past versus present conditions. It will allow for faster identification of the causes of emergencies. You'll be able to highlight if the same unidentified compounds were present historically as well as today, reducing the need for total elucidation. The software will also facilitate preventative action.